Kitties. Come on, Shadow. You don't need to bother Pixel.
Are you sure?
Fine.
Hello.
She's just on her hind feet, just looking at me.
Somebody says hello
Mabel?
from Utah. Oh, hello from Mission. Hello, Mission.
It doesn't exist.
I love the channel. Thoughts on Will Smith signing with the Sharks?
That's a good signing because he's part of their future. I did make Utah magnets, so I'm all set for Utah now.
He made a few. But
yeah, I think Will Smith's going to be really solid player for them. And then they're going to draft Celebrini. It should be something next year for San Jose.
Got people from all over St. Louis, Halifax, New Zealand, New York, Vanderhoof, Newfoundland.
What's wrong with the fans calling penalties? Fans have a vested interest in the power play being for their favorite team. Fans will call a lot of things that aren't necessarily penalties. At times they're right. At times the fans are right. So like when I say the fans call when the referee doesn't, it doesn't mean the fans are necessarily wrong. It just, it's a sign of the passion that hockey fans have for the game. I've never once booed though over a perceived call. There have been a couple times where I'm like, really? That's not a penalty?
There've just definitely been games that we've been to that
or I've been like, that's a penalty? Okay, all right, but that's as far as it goes for me.
What do we like for the Utah name?
My name is being voted down. The local media.
I like Utah.yt.
Yeah, that's winning.
Because that sounds great.
Utah TV station had like a vote and they had all 20 names.
Yeah, some of them are lame though.
Down to Yeti.
I really like Utah.yt. I think it could be really fun. They could have a really fun mascot.
No.
They could do cool logos.
No. She can't have that.
Oh,
that's the one with chocolate. Right, she can't have that.
How'd she get it?
I don't know. It fell down, I guess. Come here. No, you can't have that. Bunny.
She doesn't really care what you think she should have.
This rabbit thinks she can eat chocolate. You're not right. No chocolate.
And I think that their colors should be purple and blue. Because we could use more purple.
But the blue, I want it to be like a light blue, like a sky blue.
That would be awesome.
I don't want it to be navy. I don't want it to look the same as other
There's already
jerseys.
A lot of teams use like a navy blue or a royal blue.
Yeah.
I like when teams do something different. Then it's really easy to tell. Like with Seattle's colors are great because totally unique. Vegas, when they came in, unique colors. I like that. We don't need more blue and marigold.
Nope.
Or red and blue. Lots of them. Okay. As a referee, I love it when fans boo.
Referees have to be like completely okay with it and understand that's part of the job. So like, I really don't think it bothers the ref at all. I want to see it bother the ref. Just once I'd like to see them crying there and be like, "No, I'm leaving." They're all booing and saying I suck. I'm done. If somebody else get called in, I'm done.
How about more red and white? I think we're good. Red and white and blue and white. We're good. Other colors.
It's funny. So they're showing a replay of the last Rangers Florida game. I think part of the reason people weren't all that big a fan of the Florida rebrand when they did it is because the colors do look very similar to other teams. And they took what was a very unique logo and made it kind of corporate looking. So
it might be dumb, but I just noticed the Golden Knight helmet logo has a V inside of the helmet for Vegas. I see that comment so frequently.
It's just
a lot of people didn't notice that right away.
The Hartford Whalers logo has the H in it. And I didn't see that when I was a kid. I was about 14 or 15 before I was like, hey, wait a minute. There's an H in the middle of that logo. That's awesome. And that was when I decided that Hartford logo is absolutely fantastic.
Ever thought of doing a book? Shannon has books.
I mentioned that to her last night, actually, that I was thinking about writing again, but she doesn't want me to dictate the book to her. So
not.
I guess I
quite
can
how that
dictate it to the
conversation
entertainment guy.
went.
I guess I can get him to get
Shannon
working.
does have some books though. They are on
Yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah.
They're unedited books.
Yeah. At some point in time, I'll have to go through like an actual publisher and get them edited professionally and all that.
What made you choose the Avalanche jersey this stream?
I was just trying to think of which team I haven't worn in a while. I don't think I've worn Abs in a live stream for a while. Like she hasn't worn this jersey before, so it's kind of how I go about it.
I don't think I've worn this one.
I don't think I have either. Which is weird because I was thinking about wearing Flames, and I thought it'd be weird if we're both wearing Flames.
That would
be odd.
I know I say this a lot, but I really think that even if he's not physically scoring, I feel like Kakko's play is instrumental to the Rangers' success, e.g. the stick lift that led to the game-winning goal on Sunday.
Kakko's been a good player when he's been in the lineup. I just feel like for Kakko right now, I think it's highly likely that either the Rangers have to find a spot for him higher up in the lineup, or he's going to leave in the organization one way or the other. Because Kakko's a very talented forward, and it just hasn't worked from a scoring perspective with the Rangers, and he's young enough that I think another team would take a chance on him. That's her, right?
She's killing that box, yeah.
Because I took her muffin away.
Tell that box who's boss.
I took her food away, so now she's flipping out on the cardboard box.
Yes, I have really bad allergies. Sorry, it's spring. My allergies. I'm allergic to air. I'm really allergic in the spring. For those that were at the meetup last weekend, my allergies were really, really bad. Yep, I had to leave for a bit because I couldn't breathe. So sorry.
Was closing off. Yeah, right, I turned on the air purifier for you.
Sorry, I know it's obnoxious. I know my breathing's obnoxious. I know.
That's the reason I have an air purifier in here.
It is. There's a really big air filter right there. So that should help. 2011 Montreal versus Boston, Game 7 overtime. Clear trip on Roman Hamrlik. Boston takes the puck down the ice, scores the game winner.
Well, all that happened there was that Hamrlik momentarily lost his balance. A Boston player tried to catch him with his stick, and what happened was he kind of fell over. So I understand it looks like a trip, but Boston won. So in the end, what was important with that was that the good guys won. I was very happy. And I think that was the day before Vancouver won Game 7 against Chicago. So that 48-hour period, the happiest nirvana I had ever experienced as a hockey fan, because Montreal and Chicago were out. Back in 2011, there were two teams I really couldn't stand, and it was Montreal and Chicago. That's not the case at this point. It does change from one year to the next, but I was happy. So if you're upset about what happened in that overtime, just in the back of your mind think, but Shannon was happy in that moment, and that's what's really important. Not the guy falling down because the stick's near his foot. What are they going to call that now? Not in the playoffs.
There's other people on here that are allergic to air too. So see, I'm not the only one.
I'm surprised my allergies haven't been worse.
It's been so bad this year. Like we live in the rainforest, so it rains and rains and rains and rains. And then we get a sunny day, and so everything just kind of opens up and blooms, and then it'll be windy. So that's the best, is when it's all of a sudden sunny and then windy, and then I don't breathe. So
see, I overdid it overdid it at the street hockey game last Sunday, and I think that my hip pain is what's causing my allergies not to act up, because I can only focus on one thing at a time. So my body's not even aware of the allergies at this point.
Yvonne's allergies are Ref's fault. I do eat local honey. I put some in my tea, but that's a lot of sugar, and I can't really do sugar. So
true that. I don't think they make sugarless honey. I don't think that's even possible.
Not how it works.
It's not possible.
No.
Wait, do bees make sugar with their butt? Is
that
how that works?
No, they throw it up. It's not. No, they eat it and they throw it up. Bee vomit. That's what honey is.
Oh,
you're welcome.
All right. Well, it's good. It's a great tasting vomit, though. I would say of all the vomit I've tasted in my life, that's the best kind. Especially when it's the raspberry bee vomit. You realize I'm going to call it that from now on.
From raspberry flowers. There you go.
Well, no, they have that flavored honey. So.
Oh, the flavored kind. Okay.
Right. So
That's
raspberry bee vomit. That's
There
it.
you
That's
go.
all I'm calling it from now on. I'm done.
Oh goodness.
What do we call silk then?
It's silk moth cocoons.
So
Man, Bun.
she's mad. She's
She
really mad.
is
She
ripping
is.
that.
That rabbit is very angry that I would not let her eat what she had found on the floor. She even took it over
letting
here.
that box
So she
have
dragged it away from me because she'll do that. She'll get something to eat that she knows she's not supposed to, and she will run. She will run across the room with it. And as soon as I see her running, I'm like, she's got something she's not supposed to have. And if I try to take it back, she's not happy. She's a very angry little rabbit.
I have glass seats for Dallas Stars and would love to give them to y'all if you can make it down for a game next year. Seriously, go Stars.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to a game in Dallas. I really would.
I know.
I really would.
That's a tricky one for us though. Heronic for Nikas. Oh yes. 1 for 1, both RFAs.
I think the Canucks would do it. I don't think Carolina would. Hronik had a really good first half of the season, really dodgy second half in playoffs, and he's going to be pricey. So I would love to see Natchez in Vancouver. I'd love to see what Tocchet could do with his creativity. He'd be another top 6 scoring winger. The Canucks desperately need that. I just don't see the Canes taking Hronik.
Are the Devils making the playoffs next year?
They bloody better. Honestly, Sheldon Keefe is a good coach to get you to the playoffs. And I think that his energy, I think the way that he coaches will work for that team. But Tom Fitzgerald has to fix the goaltending. He has to. Absolutely has to. Or else they won't make the playoffs. If you fix the goaltending, yes.
No, we do not sell jerseys at all because being self-employed, that would then count as being sales, and then we would have to charge sales tax, and that sounds like a pain, and we'd rather not.
Yeah, I'm not opening a store. Not that kind of store. All the new listings are live in spring, though, right?
Yes.
So this is weird. This I have to admit this is weird, and Yvonne designed and ordered this for me, so I get to drink out of my own head, I guess. I don't know how I feel about it. It is weird too that does look like my face, even though there's no face on it.
I know, but it still looks like you.
It is so weird. It is so bizarre. But yeah, so that's bizarre. But it's going with me this summer wherever we go for vacation. Okay,
Man,
seriously, Bun. She's mad. I'm telling you, that is one angry rabbit.
That box is not going to make
There's
it through
so
this
much
live
cardboard
stream.
she's pulled out of there.
Can you guys hear her? She's right,
they can hear
right
her.
behind the mic.
When she does that when I'm recording a video, I have to mention it. Oh my gosh, what?
It's not the rabbits, it's cats. We have a house full of toddlers. Whole bunch of furry toddlers.
See, I thought that goal was going to get called back for goalie interference, but he didn't hit Bobrovsky until the puck had already gone in.
Don't let Bunny get the mug.
No.
Yeah, you can hear the scratch. She's like shaking it.
She's just pulling it, she
like a dog. Like dogs do when they get a toy and yeah, that's what she's doing to the box.
This idea that rabbits are passive, cute little animals, they kind of are, but if you make them angry,
you mess with them.
They get angry. I've been nipped at a couple of times where I'm like, okay, all right, that's enough of that then.
The cats know to not mess with them.
Jet got kind of ticked at me for touching her when she was in the box because I thought it was licorice.
Hey.
And I found out pretty quickly it wasn't licorice.
Okay. Come here.
Because licorice is the rabbit that's usually down here with his sister. Jet is not because two females can't get along. You bun. You bun kitty? Hey? I'm going to call you all rabbits now. Does that just make it easier? Don't glare at me. I'm not picking you up. I can't replace this jersey.
The rabbit I had as a kid ruled the house. The cats avoided him when he was out of his enclosure. Oh, the rabbits would win. The cats don't mess with the rabbits.
Our rabbits don't go in enclosure. They have free reign of the house. Cats have never attacked them. We don't have that problem.
Because the rabbits would win. They don't know their prey.
Oof. Yeah, there's the elbow.
PWHL Game 5. Pick Boston or Minnesota?
Boston's got home ice. I'll take Boston, but I'm kind of rooting for Minnesota because that state's had a lot of pain over the last 30 years. So it'd be nice to see them win something.
Is it panic time for Yzerman if the Wings don't make the playoffs next year?
Yes. It's not yet, but if they start to dip more towards, being outside the playoffs than in them, then it might be panic time, sure.
I don't know what team that's talking about. Did you think the $5,000 fine for Trouba was justified, or is it too much for an elbow?
The $5,000 fine means they got the call wrong. It should have been a 5 minutes in a game. I think it was the right call, and I think the fine was the right call. I think that it's interesting that people say, well, he didn't really catch him in the head. So if you don't catch somebody in the head, I don't know. The attempt is there. So, I mean, I think that should have been 5. And I think the fine shows that Department of Player Safety thinks it should have been 5 too.
When is the next ball hockey meetup?
I'm going to try for this weekend, but the weather doesn't look promising. Yesterday, the weather looked touch and go. Today, the forecast has actually got worse for this weekend.
And today it's just pouring. You just want to be on my shoulder, don't you?
She keeps looking at me. She wants me to pick her up.
Stop.
And I'm not doing it because I can't replace this jersey.
Are you good? What are you doing, Dad?
I'm stopping her from snagging your jersey. Stop snagging the jersey.
You touch my paw.
Stop snagging the jersey. Don't do it.
Who out of the Leafs core 4 is most likely to be traded?
They're letting Brody go, is what I'd seen. I don't know if Brody necessarily qualifies as top 4. He was top 4. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the Toronto Maple Leafs do. I think Giordano's contract's up, right? They're going to need to add. Really, they need to add on that blue line. I don't know if you need to subtract, but you definitely need to add.
Has your view towards players on teams you disliked change over the year? Example, Mario and Crosby on the Penguins. P.S. Go Hershey Bears.
Mario, it really is because I was very young at the time from a hockey fan perspective, and Mario just had a way of beating the crap out of teams I really liked. So, yeah, I'm still not a huge Mario fan. Crosby, I don't have a problem with Crosby. I have Crosby. Well, I have a Mario jersey too. I really don't have a problem with Crosby. In fact, I've never once in a video that I can recall said anything about him whining or anything like that. I've always seen that online, all the crybaby sits. I've never said that or thought that. Yeah, I've never had a problem with Crosby. It doesn't mean that I like the Penguins necessarily. I don't have a problem with Crosby.
Do you think Brandon Saad would be a good fit for the Vegas Golden Knights?
Saad's a good player. He was one of the more consistent offensive players for St. Louis, a team that struggled to score goals at times. I like Saad. I think he would fit in wherever he were to go.
Favorite flavor of chips? All dressed or pickle?
All dressed, dill pickle, and yes. If it's Doritos, I would go with either Flamin' Hot or the jalapeno and cheddar.
I don't have a favorite Dorito flavor. I like all dressed.
But if it's the Ariba, you like the zesty taco?
Yeah, that
from
one's
Old
good.
Dutch.
Yep, those are great.
Although their nacho cheese are really good too.
Your rant on Darby Allin using a flamethrower was so great. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, and then he ends up in the hospital after the pay-per-view. You've gone too far if your wrestlers are going to the hospital. I don't. And then he used the flamethrower, and everyone's okay. Jack Perry wasn't burned too bad. Are you kidding me? What are you even doing? It's okay, when you're doing a feud in wrestling, each match should top the last one. So how do you top that? I don't. Anyways, AEW is a whole other discussion.
All dressed are impossible to find in the States, around me at least. The American ones are totally
really
different.
kind of plain. The American ones are kind of plain.
They taste like plain barbecue,
or just salt and vinegar.
Canadian ones don't taste like
the barbecue. Last time I had ones from the States, I was like, these taste like salt and vinegar. There really wasn't flavor.
Really
just
bland,
vinegar, and that's kind of it. Yeah.
All of the American
Not that salt and vinegar
really
is bad, but when you buy all dressed, you're not planning on getting salt and vinegar.
Oh, they're talking about best hockey names. Is there a better hockey name than Hockenpah?
Oh, here you go. Is there a better hockey name than Hockenpah? I like Yanni Hockenpah's name. Capo Caco, though, is still fantastic. Rope hence is a decent name, although every time Sportsnet, when they say Rupe, I'm like, are you kidding me? What's the big deal with pizza pops? They're better than
Gross.
pizza pockets.
Pizza pockets are disgusting.
Pizza pockets are nasty.
Ugh.
Pizza pops
So
are good. So here,
I don't like pizza pops.
The shopper's
but...
doing the shopper thing, so just keep an eye on that for when there's messages. Well, because you left over here, I'm not even going to look at it.
I didn't. Okay. Timo Solane is the best hockey name. Just fun to say.
Well, if we're going into all time, it's Pekka Radicalio. It's Pekka Radicalio, and if you're including players that never actually made it to the NHL, it's Veli-Pekka Kautonen. Although Jarmo Millis is a good name, and so is Jarkko Varvio. I love Jarkko Varvio, played for Dallas, and every time he touched the puck, Jarkko Varvio, like I was just, this is great. And Darcy Wakaluk, because Wakaluk was fun to say. Dallas had a lot of fun names. Jamie Langenbrunner. I love Dallas.
Miro Heiskanen.
See, Zuccarello, he played for Dallas. Heiskanen's in Dallas now. Dallas just loves it's almost like their GM always goes, you know what? Who's the guy with that goofy name? Yeah, pick him up. Yeah, that'll be fun. Get the guy with the goofy name. Or he hates the person who's doing the announcements in the building. Get the hardest name to say so that goof up there can't say it properly.
Jordan Tutu, Tumoratu, Yannick Hansen. Oh, some of these I don't.
Jarkko Ruutu is a good one. We used to do at my old workplace. We used to do Marco Polo using Jarkko Ruutu instead. Works just fine.
What? Marcel.
And Yvonne. I can't wait till Yvonne plays so I can tell Yvonne that Yvonne's playing. That'll be great.
Such a dork. What colors do you see Utah using?
We're hoping for Utah Jazz type colors, which would be purple and blue. And they have that lighter blue. But it doesn't sound like they'll use the exact colors of the Utah Jazz. Like Ryan Smith's been clear that he wants them to have their own identity, but accents of purple, something purple in it would be nice too.
Aturati. Nino Niederreiter.
Nino Niederreiter's fun, although I just say Nino. So when I'm writing notes on the board, I just put Nino. It's like Mika Zibanejad. I just write Mika on the board. If you guys zoom in, you can see I just write Mika. Like I'm not putting Zibanejad. Why am I going to do that? That's a waste.
Biggest off-season moves for Vancouver, Boston, and Montreal.
Vancouver, it's going to be either sign or trade Hronek. For Boston, fix your depth down the middle. For Montreal, it's going to be steady as she goes. They might pick up a free agent. Sure, they might be in there for one of the bigger names. But in reality, I really think that Montreal's going to just continue with the rebuild, and I don't think there'll be anything dramatic that goes on.
Any chance we see an NHL team use a primarily pink jersey?
Maybe as a promo. I could see like maybe for like
as their primary
hockey
color,
fights
I don't
cancer,
think so.
But for like a hockey fights cancer night, if teams decided they've got the practice jerseys. If they decided instead we're going to have a jersey we wear for just that night, because minor leagues have done it. They've done cancer night jerseys, and they'll have pink accents or pink jerseys. I think that could work as a primary regular color.
Lavender.
No. Yeah, but they've done pink for that. I know that's breast cancer awareness, but I'm just saying as that kind of thing. I could see them doing pink.
Well, Fanatics keep it status quo in year one before ruining the NHL jerseys.
It is going to be fascinating to see how they handle it because the jerseys that they've produced for other leagues have come under fire. I know Nike is responsible for what's happened with the baseball jerseys, for instance. I'm going to say this though. I know it's not hockey, but those new Toronto Blue Jays City jerseys that leaked out, I'm getting one. That is a really nice jersey. So I'm just throwing that out there because I know a lot of Jays fans, this isn't very good. I don't like this. I like it. I'm going to get one. I don't have a Blue Jays jersey, but I'll buy that. Fanatics is going to make things cheaper. And so don't be surprised when the logos are no longer embroidered if they go with, what is that? What's the term?
Sublimated?
Sublimated jerseys. Yeah.
That's what Fanatics jerseys do now. They do sublimated logos.
But I mean, like, there isn't
the
a
really
logo
ugly,
on it at
shiny
all.
ones.
No, I just mean no
They're
logo at all.
sublimated.
Like some of my minor league jerseys, my Chiefs ones, where the
the
logo's
whole
not
jersey
actually
is
added.
sublimated.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it's headed for the cheaper tier of jerseys. And then to get the actual embroidered logos where they look really nice, it's going to be really, really pricey.
Do you think Jason Zucker will ever play in Vegas?
If Vegas is interested, he'll go to Vegas. I don't think there's very many players that won't go to Vegas if they're wanted. And if Vegas wants a player, they've shown they'll do whatever they got to pick that guy up.
Fanatics is a monopoly. Nothing will be cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a monopoly, and well, what they'll do is they'll make the product cheaper, and they won't raise the price, but their profit margin will go up. They make more money on the Fanatics version of jerseys than the Adidas version of jerseys, and I would expect that discrepancy is just going to get even higher.
Any thoughts on what the Caps might do this offseason?
You know, it depends on how they view it. If they look at the playoff appearance and go, you know what, we might be able to build something here, then they'll go in one direction. I don't think they should. If they do some kind of a little retool, I think that would be the smartest thing. But Ovechkin's right there. He's on the verge of potentially tying and passing Gretzky on the all-time goals record. It's hard to do a retool / rebuild with that.
Somebody's confused about the Fanatics and Adidas. No, Fanatics does not make Adidas.
No.
Fanatics has taken over making jerseys. So This is the last year they will be made by Adidas, and they're going to be made by Fanatics.
And Adidas has not cared about the jerseys this year. It feels like they just want it done. This is what I've heard from various online sellers. And they have not been great when it comes to the distribution of jerseys or letting them know what you're going to get or when you're going to get it. So it just feels like Adidas was just done. We don't care. It's gone. Fanatics was the only company that actually bid on them.
Would Waddell give Pascal Vincent a chance?
Most GMs will give that coach a chance when they're new, and especially since Vincent's only been the coach for 1 year. However, with a new GM comes the risk that he sees a few games and goes, you know what, I think my guy's going to be better. And Waddell will likely have somebody that he thinks would be a really good coach. So there's some pressure on a coach when the GM changes.
How many jerseys have Cats ruined?
2.
Yeah.
Actually ruined 2.
Yeah, 2 that were beyond repair.
That Springfield one was just done. That was Maple when she was a kitten.
Yeah.
She's still alive because I love cats.
That one was wrecked. Didn't you show that one in a video?
I took a picture of that and posted on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was absolutely destroyed.
Love your extensive jersey collection. Random question. What occasion would it take for you to do a video in a suit and tie? Canucks winning the cup?
I don't have a suit. I have ties. I don't have a suit.
He's done videos in like a dress shirt and tie before.
When we were in Las Vegas, yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I guess I could do that this summer if we go to Anaheim, but it'd look weird.
It would look weird. And then you'd have to bring that kind of clothing.
Especially if I went to visit, like, down at the Ducks headquarters and Joey and all them, and they'd be like,
what? Who are you?
Why? What is this? Is this a job interview? Or are you coming in to work for us? Because, okay, but I don't think so.
Do you think Crosby is hurting the Pens by wanting to win now, and when clearly the team is not in a spot to win and should do a rebuild?
Crosby's one of the best players to ever play the game, and I totally understand him wanting to win another cup. He also wants to do it in Pittsburgh. It's a tough sell. It's a tough sell to a player who's got that experience and has won 3 Stanley Cups on the idea of, you know what, you're in your final years here, but we've decided that we're going to do a rebuild. It's tough to sell that to him. So I understand where he's coming from. I do think the team needs to do a rebuild. I don't think it happens as long as Sid's there.
Torty Kittens, Engines of Destruction. She's our most cat.
Yeah.
Cat.
Yeah, she's a cat.
Should Brenda Moore stay as Kane's coach?
Yes. And he's signed an extension that's multi-year, so I'm going to guess it's 3 or 4 years. He's not going anywhere.
What do you think of Bauer doing the PWHL jerseys?
I'll be interested to see how that goes. I know Bauer. I've seen Bauer jerseys before, and I'm not sure where I've seen them. I know they've done jerseys for somebody. I want to say Canadian Junior at some point, but Bauer's a really good company. I'll be fascinated to see how those jerseys look, and if they're nice, I have no problem with picking one up for each PWHL team.
Who is on your Mount Rushmore of NHL defensemen of the first 20 years of 21st century? I'd say Lindstrom, Keith Doughty, Hedman. This would be a good video topic.
Well, Hedman would definitely be on it. Oh man, last 20 years. See, I want to say like Bork and yada yada, but that's obviously not in the last 20 years. Lidstrom. I mean, I could do Rushmore videos. That is definitely an off-season topic. I will be doing a lot. I'm just going to let people know. Remember 6 years ago, for those who are OGs, that I did the videos on every year in the NHL. I did a video for each year of the NHL from its inception until now.
Hockey history.
I'm going to be doing that again. I'm going to start it all over again. Now that we've moved twice, and I feel like the channel's a lot bigger. I don't expect anybody to watch the videos, but I'm interested.
Get better views than last time.
I'm interested. So hopefully other people end up being interested too, but I'll start with 1917. And then I'll also do a video of before the NHL was the NHL, when it was the NHA. And then they decided this Eddie Livingstone guy's got to go. So we're changing the name of the league, and we're just going to do it to push him out. He can keep the NHA. We're going to be the NHL. Eddie Livingstone is not allowed in here.
Hello from Sudbury, Ontario. Love the channel. What do you think it would take for the Habs to acquire Martin Necas from Necas? That's right. Carolina.
I don't think Montreal would be in on Necas necessarily. I mean, with Waddell out, you don't have to worry about the whole feud with the Aho Kotkaniemi thing. Montreal would probably have to throw in like a good young player, probably a first-round draft pick. Necas isn't going to be cheap if a team picks him up. And I don't know if Montreal's in a position where Necas is the kind of forward they're necessarily going to be looking at, although he's in that age range where it would make some sense. But he would not be cheap.
More history. Love them. Oh, there's a few people saying that they're excited about you doing history videos. So
yeah, I was thinking about doing like the team histories, but I just did that 2 years ago. So I've already done the team histories a couple of times. So I'll go through each season in the NHL. I've got all the books on it. So, and a lot of the stuff that's in the books that I have is not available online. That's what I found out the last time I did it. Where I was like, I wonder if there's anything online with more information on this. Oh, there's nothing. So yeah, it's interesting.
Have you done a video on your hat collection?
I've done videos on the hat collection before. They attract flies in general, not views. And so I was like, okay, people are not interested in the hats. So here and there, I'll talk about the hats, but
right. I remember that.
Yeah, they don't do very well.
Did you say hockey history videos? Time for this Montreal fan to relive the glory days.
And show people why I say Montreal-Boston is a bad matchup for Boston. Because when you're doing hockey history, the Bruins were just, Montreal took their lunch money for decades. And every now and then they still do. So while Montreal's been down for a while now and people kind of look at it funny, like, why did he just say Boston's? Why is that a bad matchup for Boston? Yeah, traditionally it has been a very bad matchup for Boston.
The history videos sound great. I try to find some old gems. Find the gems like that in old videos sometimes, but it's hard.
And like I said, I've moved twice.
Gajillion videos.
Yeah, I've missed twice moved twice since then. It's a playlist on the channel though, and for a while there I was really promoting that playlist, but yeah, there were videos on that playlist that got like 400 views. So we would go to a meetup and I'd be like, okay, hands up anybody who watched my video on the history of the NHL today. and nobody put up the video. And I'm like, how the hell am I expected to make any money on this channel when people who come out to meetups and actually see me face to face have no bloody interest in watching these? Come on, just pretend. But yeah.
Letterkenny Shamrocks or versus the Sudbury Blueberry Bulldogs.
The better jersey is Sudbury's. The better team is definitely Sudbury because Dolo will mess you up. So yeah, Sudbury's definitely the better team.
Who is your favorite player on the Canucks?
Brock. Demko's up there. Pedersen's up there. Quinn Hughes. I really, really like this team. This is the first core they've had in a long time that I've been like, you know what? I love this core. And it goes back to probably the early 90s. Probably the last time that I've been this much of a fan of so many Vancouver Canucks players.
What do you think San Jose should pick up in free agency this year?
I wouldn't bother with free agency much if I was San Jose. There's going to be teams looking to offload some contracts. San Jose has a ton of cap space. Do that. Pick up a couple of contracts from other teams that you feel like will help you and accentuate your roster. And then they have to throw in a draft pick or a prospect with them too. So you can really, really make hay if you're the Sharks this summer.
Have you ever traveled to Europe for hockey games?
No.
We've barely traveled to the States for hockey games.
Yeah, we've seen, is it 2 in Anaheim? I think we've seen 2 games
in Anaheim and 2 in Vegas. Those are the only American games we've ever seen.
That's it. Vancouver games, we've gone to dozens. But yeah.
Because that's local.
Yeah.
We don't do tons of traveling. I don't know about you guys, but we can't really afford to travel all the time, especially with 3 children.
And then there's the whole, I mean, you have to come back with all 3 kids.
You guys should go to a Kraken game.
I would, but it would have to be
easy as that sounds.
It'd have to be a really quiet night the next night in the NHL, and the kids would have to be somewhere else.
Because we'd have to either stay the night in Seattle or we'd be getting home at
1 in the morning.
1 or 2 in the morning.
Yep.
And
really I'd just hard. we'd be wrecked the next day. So it sounds like Seattle's right there, and it
Seattle is right there, my guy. Doesn't work like that.
It's not.
It's driving. It's a different country. Driving in Seattle is terrible. Oh, I hate driving in Seattle.
It's 4 hours of driving at minimum.
In Seattle.
Yeah.
I hate driving.
So it's 4 hours and driving in minimum. And then you've got the 3 hours for the game. Obviously, you want to be there before the game starts. It becomes a very, very large part of my day. And it's a bit of a headache too.
Again, we have kiddos. So where does Marner and Tavares start the season?
I don't think Toronto's going to find a taker for Tavares' contract, even though there's just the 1 year left. Marner, I think of the 4, Marner's probably the one who ends up getting dealt because Nylander just signed. Matthews isn't going anywhere. Marner will attract interest, and I think Marner's actually a little bit underrated by Toronto fans at this point. Everybody focuses on the playoffs. I get it. But Marner's a really, really talented forward.
Your gambling video was fantastic. Ironically enough, I bought a jersey on Fanatics yesterday and received gambling credits with my confirmation email.
I'm not surprised. They're really trying to get that off the ground. They are really trying to get that off the ground.
So weird.
Yeah, it's messed up.
You know why they're giving you coupons and free money?
A little freebie. Here's a little taste of the gambling. If you like that, that's free. And then you're going to have to come back for the rest.
Mm-hmm. Thought about taking an Amtrak train from Vancouver to Seattle for a game. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. That would be fun. And free money
then you don't have to drive.
Yeah, and the train's fun.
I do like riding on a train.
Pretty.
I do. Like once they install that train between Vegas and California, if that ever happens, because they're talking about having that Vegas to LA train, the bullet train.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
That would be.
We could be in Vegas, and then we could get on the train and go to Disneyland for like half the day, and then we could go back to Vegas.
Why would I go to Disneyland for half a day?
Because we could do that every day. We could just ride the train and ride back and ride the train and ride back.
No.
It'd be great. It'd
It
be
would
fine.
not be great.
No, it'd be awesome.
It's a whole lot of time traveling.
Not really. The bullet train's fast.
Still, you have to go to the train station and get on. No. Okay. How old are our kiddos? 11, 17, and 19. Those are the ones that are still living at home.
Yep.
Does Carolina admit defeat and buy out KK's contract?
I think they should. I think with Waddell being out and new GM being in, that might be the first order of business to save some cap space money and leave it so they can do whatever they want with that money. Yeah, I think that could happen. Kotkaniemi did not do himself any favors with his play tailing off as the season went along and a pretty quiet playoffs.
Is the Leafs Cup window officially closed?
I don't know about closed, but I mean, obviously they need to fix some things with the roster. I don't feel like they ever actually had a real, true, bona fide number one goaltender. And while you can make the argument that Skinner hasn't been fantastic consistently for Edmonton, the other three teams that are still in the playoffs have a pretty good goaltender. And I do think Skinner gets probably a little more criticism than is necessarily warranted. But again, I don't think Toronto ever fully addressed that.
I'm with you on the gambling issues in professional sports.
Yeah, it's just I understand that the sporting world needed that infusion of money in 2020 and beyond, but at what cost? It's just because once you've opened Pandora's box, you can't put it back. So I have no expectation that it's going to change back or that all the advertising is going to be gone. But yeah, it's crazy.
It was sad that there's no retro jerseys this year.
When they had the series in 2022, they said that was the last one. So they said, yeah, we're not doing it again. I think it was Adidas that put a stop to it. Adidas like, we're not doing it again. My guess is making 32 different teams for 32 different jerseys for 32 different teams wasn't very profitable. That's my guess. There are some that sell really quickly and sell for a lot of money, but yeah, my guess is it wasn't very profitable. Probably wasn't worth their time.
Fried catfish or fried chicken?
Fried chicken.
Catfish. I can't really eat chicken.
Right,
top 3 teams to rise in the standings next season, top 3 to fall.
Calling that's difficult before the regular season starts. I would wish for some sort of rise in the standings for Buffalo. That'd be nice. Ottawa would be nice as well. And Utah out west. They got all kinds of cap space. They got all kinds of young players. They've got a lot. And so, yeah, I think they could be really dangerous.
Oh, I'm having tacos. I made tacos for dinner. Well, we haven't had dinner yet, but I've got the meat in the crock pot and I made tortillas earlier. So after the live stream, we'll have tasty dinner.
You're putting like sloppy Joe mix into the tacos? You have sloppy tacos.
No.
Make them extra sloppy.
No, I made carnita.
Like the con carne.
No, pork. It's pork in a crock pot.
Los Fuego.
No, okay, anyways.
Corazon.
Which cities do you think will receive expansion teams next, and which cities do you want to receive expansion teams?
I would love to see one in Hamilton. It's not going to happen. I think Houston's next. I think we go to Houston. I think Atlanta's going to come in the next one too. I think they'll add one in the west, one in the east. That'll be Houston and Atlanta. And then if they do go to 4, I would love to see Portland. I don't think Portland happens because then you'd have all the way down the west coast. It'd just be fantastic. That'd be so much fun. Quebec City would have to be one of the 4, I would think.
Would Crosby consider the Rangers?
I mean, Crosby's going to want to go somewhere that he wants to win. I don't know if he'd want to go to a team that is a fierce rival of the Penguins. I get the feeling that if he was to say, you know what, I'm going to go, I think he'd probably go to a Western Conference team ahead of an Eastern Conference team. I don't think he'd want to be against the Penguins.
Might try making it in a crock pot. I don't use mine much. to make carnita. It's the best. You can put it in the crock pot the night before with all the seasoning. It's fantastic.
Or you can just nuke it for 5 minutes. It's the same. It's just
Don't
nuke it.
listen to Shannon. He has no idea.
Almost anything you make, you can make in 5 minutes.
That's not true.
If you can't make it in 5 minutes, it's probably not worth making.
That's also not true.
Sure it is.
Shannon's wrong.
Faster. Faster, faster, faster. Got things to do. Make it faster. It's faster, better, stronger, not slower, better, stronger. Imagine if Daft Punk made that song.
Okay. Do you see a possibility of Marner being traded to Utah?
Utah has the cap space, and adding Marner could be absolutely huge for that franchise. I like the former Coyotes players. When we saw that game between Arizona and the Canucks, I kept telling her that I like that guy and that guy. And by about the 7th or 8th player, I was like, yeah, I just like the Coyotes team. I think this is a good roster. I really like the potential of that team.
Who has the best person in Vancouver? I don't understand.
Well, if it's the best player in Vancouver, I mean, it has to be Quinn Hughes. It has to be Quinn Hughes. He's their MVP. He's out on the ice 60 minutes a night, it seems. And he drives the play as much as he does, too.
Are there any other sports that you watch?
At this point, I don't watch a lot of other sports. I did watch all of the King and Queen of the Ring the other day because wrestling was on at an early time. I could watch it. I didn't watch the AEW one because I'm not paying $50 to watch an AEW pay-per-view. Not doing it. But outside of that, I don't watch a lot of other sports. Every now and then I'll watch like tag because it's so ridiculous. The world chase tag, and she won't watch it with me. I've tried.
That's
I've put it on a few
stupid.
times. She's like, nope, not watching
So
it.
ridiculous.
I'm like, oh, but is he gonna dodge? He might dodge this time. Especially when they get hurt. There was one the
Shannon
other night got
watches
hurt.
so much hockey, though. That's
Yeah.
a lot of sports to be watching, even if
Yeah.
it's one sport. He watches hours of hockey. So when he's not watching hockey, it's sometimes fun to watch not sports.
A lot of Doctor Who.
What centers will Boston realistically get?
They want Elias Lindholm. I don't think the Canucks can afford to keep Lindholm. I think with the strong playoffs, it's going to push his asking price back up. I think Lindholm could be a good fit for Boston. Ideally, he's a number 2 center. In Boston, he probably ends up being a number 1. I really think that they have to add a center if they have any hopes next season of staying competitive. Their face-off rates were woeful in the playoffs. It absolutely hurt them not having a really good depth down the middle.
What would you pick for the Utah name and mascot?
I like Mammoth. The fans don't, so it's going to end up being Yeti.
I hope it's Utah Yeti.
I think the branding
That's
you could do
fun.
with Mammoth would be a lot of fun. I think you could have a really cool mascot and a really good setup, but I think it's going to be Yeti.
Thought on
Malhotra
as the new Abbey coach.
Apparently, Jeremy Colleton realized he wasn't going to get a head coaching job in Vancouver anytime soon, so he made his exit. And Malhotra's been brought in. It's great. Malhotra in the Vancouver organization just feels like that's where he belongs to me. I was always a huge fan of Manny Malhotra, and so I think he'll be an excellent head coach for them in Abbotsford.
Mark for PLD?
God, no. Holy crap, no. If Boston takes on the Dubois contract, I will rant. I would absolutely rant if that was the case.
Asking your honest opinion, which career are you more fond of up to today? Joe Sakic or Steve Yzerman? Sending love from Saskatchewan.
I appreciate that both of them stayed with the same organization their entire playing career. I like Sakic's a little bit better. He stayed with the Avs the whole way through. Obviously, Yzerman left Detroit because they weren't going to give him the GM job, so he went to Tampa Bay instead. Sakic, I think, was of the two, and they were both like fantastic players. I think in their career, I'd give a slight edge to Sakic, but I mean, they're two ultimate legends either way.
I've always wanted to see your genuine reaction to crazy moments or plays.
It happens. It happens. There's times where when a trade takes place, I'm like, did that really just happen? Usually that's more of an off-season thing too than a during the season kind of thing. Because during the season, like it's just every day is basically the same. So it's hard for me to get really overly emotional knowing I have to reset and do it again tomorrow.
If you could be Vancouver GM for one day, what would your top 3 priorities be?
Top 3 priorities. If Sheloves is going to be the backup goaltender, I would pay him accordingly. And I think he will be. I would look to add a little bit of depth on that blue line. I know they've been working on that though. And it is hard. It is hard to name a priority with the Canucks. I think the team's being run really, really well. Under Benning, I could have given like a million things were being done wrong. I would also work the phones a bit and see about Mikheyev. I think Mikheyev is still capable of producing in the NHL. It's just he's been snake bit in Vancouver. I'd see if anybody would be willing to take him. I'd even look at maybe retaining some money on it.
Who is your favorite Ranger?
Oh, favorite Ranger right now?
Current, yeah.
I'm gonna say Igor. I'm gonna say Shesterkin. He's just so like one thing I like with Shesterkin and Ottinger and some of these young goalies, they just don't seem to be flappable. They don't get mad. I mean, if you run into them, they're going to get mad, but just, losses don't seem to affect them. Goals against, they bounce back from them right away. Yeah, Shesterkin's been fantastic.
As a Blue Jacket fan, in your opinion, when would we make the playoffs and how far would we go?
There is the possibility with the right moves in the offseason, and if everybody buys in, they'll be competitive next year. Playoffs, probably 2 years. And then how far you go, it's going to depend on the systems in place and whether or not they have that player that can score the points. Now, I did see speculation somewhere of what if Lindholm went to Columbus and you reunited him with Gaudreau. That could be huge. So that kind of thing could help. But yeah, Don Waddell's got himself a real challenge here. Absolutely.
If the Oilers don't win this series, does McDavid finally say, I'm done here?
No, they're in the conference final. If they got knocked out in the first round by LA, you might have a pretty ticked off McDavid, maybe Draisaitl as well. Reaching the Final Four, no, they're close. They're definitely close.
Do you think Connor Bedard has potential like Connor McDavid?
Yes. I think Bedard is he's not. I don't think he'll end up putting up the kind of points McDavid has as easily as McDavid has, but Bedard has the talent, the drive, the efforts there every night. I think he's a special talent.
Does Oshie deserve a career video?
He'll get a career video once his career is officially done. I don't want to do a career video on him at this point because he's taking the year off. It's unlikely he comes back and plays again, but I don't want to make a career video on a player who could come back.
Do you think in your heart of hearts that Trouba should have got suspended?
I think he should have had 5 in a game for that elbow. I think 5 in a game was the right call. I don't know if Department of Player Safety coming out and suspending him for a game afterwards would have been the right move necessarily, but I do think it should have been 5. I don't envy Department of Player Safety because no matter what they do, a fan base is going to hate them for what they did.
Do you think the Wings can rely on Husso when he gets healthy, or will they look elsewhere?
I think they'll look elsewhere. Husso's a good goaltender who ideally I think should be a 1B. So a backup who can play about 30 games a year. I don't see him as a starter. Lyon had a good run there at the beginning, kind of petered out a little bit as the season went along. They need a true bona fide starter there. That's why I think a guy like John Gibson could be a good pickup there for them.
What do you think of the NBA leaving TNT?
The NBA, I mean, by leaving TNT, it might free up some of the some of the conflicts in terms of scheduling between the two. I know the NHL's tried to stay away from the NBA, but NBA I think will be okay. TNT will be fine.
How many missed calls will we see tonight?
I think part of it is not necessarily just missed calls. It's that the standard changes in the playoffs. And so what is a penalty in October is no longer a penalty now. It has to be pretty egregious in order to be called. And I don't agree with it. I've never agreed with it, but it's just that's how the NHL calls things. It's always been the way the NHL calls things. So I guarantee there'll be probably at least twice tonight where something will happen and the announcers will say, well, that might be a penalty during the regular season, but right now the games are too important, so they don't call that anymore.
Who's Team Canada's goalies in the Four Nations Cup?
Binnington. Binnington's there because they don't have a lot of really solid goaltenders right now for Canada. Probably Binnington, or I'll say Tristan Jarry out of Pittsburgh. That's my guess.
You're on death row. What's your last meal?
My last meal.
Be a burger.
Have to be something messy. I want to make sure it's something really messy. So it'd be like quesada. So, well, I mean, if I'm going in the chair, I'm leaving a mess. Like I want to leave a mess behind. So, yeah, that's where I go with that. Yeah.
You're such a boy.
I wouldn't necessarily eat it because it doesn't matter if I like it or not.
What? Okay. Anyways.
On that happy note.
If Edmonton makes it to the Stanley Cup Finals, will Calgary fans really root for them? No.
A lot of Canuck fans won't root for them either. I tried. I remember back in 06, I tried. I tried so hard. That Stanley Cup Final, I was like, okay, I have to cheer for Edmonton. I have to cheer for Edmonton. Then the game started. Carolina scored, and I cheered, and I went, damn it. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't cheer for the Oilers. I couldn't do it because the Oilers had made the playoffs in 06 ahead of the Canucks because of overtime loss points. And that kind of broke me a little bit. So I've seen people complaining about the Caps making it that way too this year. I get it. It's just the way the NHL has things set up. And I wasn't happy. So I got really petty and I apologize. But that was 18 years ago. So I've changed over the last 18 years quite a bit.
Are you jealous that Shannon may still be in love with Danielle Smith? Nah, Shannon likes lots of girls.
She was my girlfriend in grade 3.
I know, because I have them now. So
it's not like Danielle. It's not like Danielle has ever reached out on Facebook or anything, or anybody who knew me and Watson is like, oh, I know her. Like it just hasn't happened.
But I won, so.
Yeah, I don't think she has anything to worry about. I don't think she has any concerns at all.
Where y'all from? We live in BC, Canada.
We're an hour outside of Vancouver.
There you go.
Hour and 20 minutes when the traffic gets crappy.
That's true. Oh, sometimes it's
45
way
minutes
more
in the
than
middle
an
of the
hour
night.
and 20 minutes.
45 minutes in the middle of the night, though.
It's true. Where is Arthur Shelov's going to be in the Canucks lineup?
He'll be the backup. I think it'll be Demko and Shelov's next year. I think DeSmith they'll just move on from. And I think he's earned it. He's been in the organization a while. He's earned the right to be the backup.
Somebody keeps asking, what do you think about the game tonight?
I think it's going to be close. I think Florida wins it because they have to. They absolutely they cannot be going back to New York down 3-1 or the Rangers are winning it. So I think Florida should come out, play desperate hockey. The first 10 minutes are going to be ridiculous. If the Rangers can weather that, look out. But I think Florida is going to be really intense tonight.
Allmark to Detroit.
He might accept that. I don't know how Boston would feel about trading him inside the division, but I do think he would accept that move.
Somebody noticed my mom isn't here. No, she was still at work. She messaged me that she wasn't getting home in time for the live stream because she got a new job, which she's pretty darn excited about. So
she's a mail sorter.
She is not.
They have this spot in the basement for her. They were going to give her a better job, and I talked to them. I said, no, she's used to being in her crawl space, so don't give her too much space there. And so she's mail sorting, but while they have machines to do that, she does it by hand. So, and she has to check all the stamps are properly on, and if they're not on properly, she has to lick underneath the corner and make sure the stamps are completely
my
on
mom
there.
would so not be licking anything because she'd know that people touched it. And
well, she should have thought of that before she accepted the job.
I don't like germs, but my mom is much more so than I am. So yeah. If my family thinks I'm a clean freak, nothing compared to my mom. Were the Canucks ever a popular FA spot due to being the most livable city in Canada? Also, where can we send Ehlers to get a good RHD back?
If they put Ehlers on the block right now, I guarantee 31 other GMs will make the call. Ehlers is a mix of everything you're looking for in a forward. The Canucks have been a popular spot during the heyday of the Sedins. There were plenty of players who wanted to come and have a chance to play with the Sedins. In the early mid-90s, Vancouver was suddenly a spot people wanted to play in. It doesn't usually last very long, but there have been times where players are like, all right, we want to go there.
Do you think Toronto should have acquired Matthew Tkachuk?
I don't know if they were in the market for Tkachuk when he was available from Calgary, and I don't know that they could have matched what Calgary offered up for him. I don't know that Toronto would have been able to do that because there's a defenseman involved. I don't know that Toronto would have been able to offer up a package better than what Florida did.
Would you like a Jaden Schwartz bobblehead?
I don't have a Jaden Schwartz bobblehead, actually. Let me take a look. Jaden Schwartz is my favorite member of the Seattle Kraken. I have a Jaden Schwartz jersey. So, yeah, that could go with the other bobbleheads. And my Forky. Gotta have Forky. I don't care if it's hockey or not. Forky's fantastic. He's right there. There's Forky. There's Forky's little face. He's funny. If you haven't watched the shorts on Disney Plus, they are the funniest thing I think I've ever seen.
Vancouver is an amazing city if you can afford it. Agreed.
Yeah,
that's
we
why
can't
we live
afford
an
it.
hour away.
We're an hour outside of it, and we can barely afford here. So
right.
It is pricey.
What are or were your day jobs?
I worked at a poultry plant for 7 years. I worked at a call center for 7 years. I had 6 months at 7-Eleven in amongst there, and then I worked almost 10 years in a meat processing plant where I worked with pork, I worked with beef, sausage, and then I ended up working in shipping after. So I was still in the same plant, but I worked in the shipping area because shipping was awesome. I loved shipping. So once I had that first experience in shipping, the funny thing was the guy who ran the shipping department was like, I want him back there. I'm like, I don't want to go to shipping. Those guys are weird. And then I went back there and I'm like, oh, right. Yeah, I'm weird. This is where I belong. These are my home. People. And then I could trash talk all the people out on the floor. And it was great because I didn't have to worry about looking over my shoulder and any of them catching me. Like, yeah, that person's terrible. You know, oh, what's this person like? Oh my gosh, let me tell you what a moron they are. It was a good experience. And then I spent almost it was like 8 months at TradeX.
He's a first aider.
And then this became my full-time job in 2018.
Yeah. And I used to work in financial security when I was a single mom of 3 kiddos. And before that, I was a teacher. I have a teaching degree. So that's what I did for many years. Yeah. I
usually did training at any job I had to. So when people ask about, use PowerPoint, I don't bloody think so. I used PowerPoint for 12 years between 2 different jobs. To me, it's just too triggering. It's the old jobs. So no, thanks. No.
I like being a shipper. It was easy to look busy.
Oh my God. I used to love that. Yeah. You could just stand in the back and just hang out. Yeah. I got to pick that and I got to pick that order. Supervisor's coming. All right, cool. Okay. If you could get on the forklift and bring that down, and then we'll just all be really busy for a little while. Yeah. It's easy to look busy when you're a shipper. You guys get the truck done? Not yet, but we're getting there. We're almost there, Chief. You have like 2 hours left. You have like 2 pallets to get together. This is easy.
I was an engineer, so lots of PowerPoint.
It's just awful.
There you go. Shannon knows. Did Yvonne teach the Idaho traditions of potato planting?
You know, her love for potatoes knows no bounds.
It's not a thing.
She goes around the store and she'll pick up a potato and go, you know who I think this looks like? And like she'll hold it up to me and she'll be like, this one looks like back in the day I had this teacher in grade 4 and it kind of looks like them. And she'll tell me these grand stories. And I have to get her out of the potato section.
That's not.
Sometimes she'll do that with carrots too.
What?
Sometimes she'll do that with carrots. So.
Where do you even come up with this stuff?
But you do. And turnips. Turnips. There was one day where she stopped in the turnip section.
Do you know what a turnip is?
Plus,
like if I picked up a turnip, would you be hey, that's a nice turnip?
I gave her $5 and she
true.
bit a turnip and she ate a piece of turnip. And so I gave her $5 to eat a piece of turnip in the produce section and put it back. It was bonkers. It was crazy.
But Shannon.
With the bit side down, of course. So, and then we ran out of there. It was great. You don't remember that?
I would never. And the only person I would look at a potato and says, you know who this looks like? Would be you. And you know that. Hey, this one looks like your head. This one looks like your head if you fell on your face. That's how we go grocery shopping. Shannon, you're the potato. See, that's something I would say. You're potato. What happened in the War of 1914?
That's World War One. That was when Kaiser von Wilhelm was at the
Goodness.
He got shot by John Wilkes Booth. He was watching a play. He had come overseas, and that was Kaiser. And it was Kaiser Soze too that hired him to do that.
I packed your angry eyes just in case. That part's great, isn't it? That was funny. Toy Story. Your angry eyes. If you can't figure out who the potato looks like, then it looks like you. Oh, goodness. Have you been to a Whitecaps game?
No, I've wanted to go. She won't go with me. I wanted to go to a Vancouver Whitecaps game. I've been like, I wouldn't mind going to see a soccer game. And she's like, no. Apparently driving to BC Place to watch a soccer game doesn't interest her. So, I don't know. Maybe we go to Scott Road and then take the SkyTrain from there. But I don't think she'd be interested then either. I would love to go to a Whitecaps game. I love watching soccer.
Yeah. Oh, okay. What logo would Quebec use? Something new or old?
They'd have to use the old logo. Yep. They would have to use the old logo for a minimum of 5 to 10 years. And if they were going to introduce something else, like if they were going to do the Husky, they'd have to do that on a third jersey. I don't even think they could get away with that as a shoulder patch. Quebec fans would be like, no, you give us back. They'd have to use the original jersey. Be like, give us back our old jersey.
Who do the Hawks pick up in FA?
The Hawks, I think, are going to be quiet in free agency like last year. I think if they pick up players, they'll be veterans. They're going to have to pay them pretty darn well to convince them to come over and play for Chicago. I think a veteran forward, probably a veteran defenseman, sort of like what Nick Foligno did for them this year, something like that again.
If not the Whitecaps, how about the Vancouver Football Club in Langley?
See, we could just go to Langley, go watch soccer there. We could go to Chilliwack and watch football. They have the Fraser. I think the Fraser Valley Huskers are still in Chilliwack. I think they're still in Chilliwack. I'm just thinking. I mean, that was a long time ago, but I think it's still there.
I have no idea.
Did you want to go watch a football game in Chilliwack?
I don't really know. Will Bedard ever play for Vancouver?
No. When you've got a superstar player like him, you can kind of count on him staying in one location.
Are there any new whispers on PWHL names?
I haven't heard anything. I do think that we're gonna see those names come out pretty soon, though. Once the Walter Cup is decided, I think we'll hear those names probably over the next month.
we have been to Vancouver Giants games. Before we had the Abbotsford Canucks, we used to go to Vancouver Giants games every once in a while.
And now, I mean, we could go to a game. I have an in with an owner. So,
Dostal or Gibby starting for Anaheim next year?
If Gibson's still there, he's still going to be the starter. If Gibson's still there, though, I'd be very surprised. I think Gibson's going to be gone this summer.
Have you received any new jerseys lately?
I did get the Rangers stadium jersey. I got a couple of WHA jerseys. I got like the Houston one I wore the other day. Outside of that, not really. Other than like I've had meetup jerseys, so for wearing when I go out and play street hockey, and I don't have to worry about them getting snagged here and there or getting dinged up. But yeah, in general, there really isn't that much for me to buy anymore.
He has all of them.
Yeah, basically. The only one I didn't get this year was the Devils Stadium jersey. It sold out right away, and I was kind of like, all right, because I wasn't paying $850 for 4 jerseys. I wasn't doing it.
Would you make an updated video on the corruption in the KHL?
The KHL is a whole thorny other topic at this point. I could see myself doing a video on that, just not at this stage.
Oh, are you guys originally from BC? I've heard you mention Newfoundland and East Coast ones.
I was originally born in Ontario. I lived in Newfoundland. Also lived in Saskatchewan, and then we moved out here.
My family is from BC, Burnaby, actually.
And then she decided to become a potato and move to Idaho. She was in Idaho for quite some time. She still has like I Heart Coeur d'Alene on the van. It's right on the back. Nice little bumper sticker. I Heart Coeur d'Alene. So, and she'll usually start stories with, "This reminds me of that great time in Coeur d'Alene." When? And then she just goes off on her tangents.
She's such a dork.
It's true.
Thank you for your endless hours of analysis this season. I enjoyed watching and learning about the entire league week to week.
Thank you for watching. Without you guys watching, it wouldn't have been a very productive season for me, and I would have had to go do something else. So thank you guys for watching. Makes it worthwhile.
Yvonne, who's cuter, the hockey guy or the entertainment guy?
It's the entertainment guy. She tells me that every day.
Whoever's the least obnoxious and picks up after themselves the most.
So neither. Because we both get pretty obnoxious and we're both not very good about picking stuff up after ourselves. Notice the quiet from her side when I said that. But when I mentioned Idaho, she goes, no. So there you go.
Oh, Shannon. Okay. Will Florida Panthers ever change their name to Miami Panthers?
They don't play in Miami. They play out of Sunrise. So wouldn't make any sense to call them Miami. They're in Sunrise,
I was trying
Florida.
to think where they were.
Yep.
I didn't think they were in Miami.
They're not in Miami. I think they'll leave it as Florida because, I mean, you're covering the state. It is weird to have a team called Florida and a team called Tampa Bay. Yeah. Since technically it's Tampa, Florida. They don't play in the water. But it's Florida. So why not? Sure. You have a team named after the bay that you don't want to play on because it's never frozen. And a team named after the state as if Tampa Bay isn't there. So that makes sense. Florida.
There you go. A bit of frustration with Kemper. Do you think the Caps try and get rid of him?
I could see the Caps moving or trying to move Kemper. I don't know that there's a big market for Kemper. He's one that I would keep an eye on when we get to buyout season and see what they do, because I think Hunter Shepard, who's been doing a very good job in Hershey, I think he deserves at least somewhat more of a chance. He didn't look out of place at the NHL level either. Obviously, Lindgren and Shepard wouldn't be a fantastic duo, but I mean, it's a low cost duo, and then you have money for elsewhere. So, yeah.
Do you think the NHL will honor WHA? Will the teams by wearing WHA jerseys?
The NHL acts like the WHA never happened. The NHL doesn't recognize WHA stats, WHA stars. They don't have WHA nights. The NHL was very petty and really did not like the WHA. And I think there would still be owners to be like, why would we honor that? That league failed. That's a stupid idea. I think we'd still see that.
Thoughts on Yeo leaving the Nucks?
I mean, you're going to have turnover in terms of guys coming and going. And if you mean Mike Yeo, assistant coaches and head coaches change all the time. It's part of the reason why I don't report on assistant coaches and head coaches changing on any level other than the NHL. And I don't really report on assistant coaches in the NHL either, unless it's really noteworthy. But at any rate, I should get going because the game's going to get started here. And so we will be doing a live stream for members and patrons on Thursday. And then we'll find time for a live stream for all you fine people on the internet sometime next week as well. So thanks, guys, for coming out. I hope it's a fun game tonight. Maybe the Avs will win. No, they're not playing anymore. They're done. Dallas took them out.
That would be amazing.
Whoops.
If they won.
Sorry, Colorado. But anyways, thank you guys so much for all your support. And we will do this again soon. Thanks for coming out.